We are live. Welcome back, everybody. Wow. I was just thinking this afternoon, driving back to my apartment from Dubai Hills Estate and realizing how far this show has come over the past 12 months. I am really excited. I know Richard is really happy to have this guest on the show today, CEO of Solutions Leisure, responsible for the F&B experiences that we all know and love in Dubai, award winner, father, author of best-selling book, When I Woke Up. This guy really is an inspiration. His story is just beyond belief. When you look at what he has come through to get to this stage in his life, honestly, it's unbelievable. Richard, I know you've had your head in the book all week. It's going to be a good one, isn't it?
Can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait, Liam. It's an amazing guy. Without his backstory, just what he's achieved in Dubai is noteworthy, isn't it? But
it is.
When you actually get the chance to delve into his past, and it's an amazing story. And I'm not just saying this, but I love books, as you know. I read hopefully a couple of books a week, and so I went out to pick up this book on Saturday, just to do a bit of research on our guest Paul, who's coming on, and so I started reading it on Saturday night. I think I read it for about 3 or 4 hours non-stop. Just wait till our listeners hear some of his tales. It is going to be absolutely jaw-droppingly amazing. Some of his experiences, just amazing. That's all I can say until we hear it from the man himself.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. So what's been going on? It's not been too long since our last podcast. We were online yesterday, live with Lazarus.
Yeah.
But news out there at the moment, beaches, all the talk seems to be revolving around how Dubai is opening up and becoming more normal again, I guess you can say. Hotels, are they opening? Are they not? The Atlantis sent me an email actually this afternoon to say that the restaurants are now available to take bookings, and there's a 30% discount as well.
Yeah, but again, as much as we all want things to get back to normal, and certainly the hotel industry, we're in the hands of the government, aren't we? They made it very clear today, the hotel private beaches are back open, but not the public beaches. So a hotel private beach, it's for hotel residents there, and as there's not many tourists, it's going to be for day visitors like you and I who go and pay for the facilities, which is great. It's a step in the right direction. But again, you surprised me by saying about the invitation to book tables. We're in the hands of the government. Only the government will say, yes, now is the time to open this up and do it from there. So fingers crossed. I mean, there is talk now, isn't there, that they're going to raise the 30% occupancy to probably 60%. The malls are getting more relaxed about changing rooms open and sort of more facility in the shops, etc., for people to flow through. They've got to get things back to normal. Yeah. But I read again yesterday, 783 new cases. So we're staying constant. We're not disappearing off the scale like our listening records here on the DubaiLife Podcast. It's staying steady, but it's not falling to, it's just staying steady. And I know the government are working their socks off, as we keep saying. So just watch this space, as they say. But the good news is, Liam, they've reopened the skydiving. You can get onto an airplane and go and skydive.
Let's do it. Have you heard my skydiving story before?
No, I haven't.
Have you done
Seriously,
it?
I haven't. No, my weight, they wouldn't let me get on the plane, my friend. It's true. So, you've got to be under 100 kilos, and I'm not. So there you go.
100 kilos?
Yeah, you've got to be under 100 kilos. And I, as I hover around 100 kilos, it's not for me.
So
so tell me the story.
Yeah, so my sister has always wanted to do it since I first moved over in 2013, and she was pushing me to do it for a long time. Finally got me to agree to do it, I think in 2016, and we booked it. Perhaps we booked it for her birthday or whatever it was, and she was really excited to go. I'm not particularly scared of heights, but it was never something that I've really wanted to do. So the first day we booked it, literally the day before, I remember opening my phone and seeing that the plane had overshot the runway and crashed into the rocks. So obviously that was the day before we were scheduled to do it. It might have even been on the same morning. So that was cancelled, and she was on holiday at the time, so we couldn't rebook it when she was here. So we planned to do it the next year. The next year, she came back. We we went to the place, we walked in, and it was quite breezy. It was really windy. And they said, look, it's just not going to happen today. It's far too windy. It's not safe to fly. It's, it's not going to work. And at that point, you might think, look, it's just not meant to be. Let's just cancel the whole
Absolutely,
idea.
yeah. I think God is telling you something here, Liam. Walk away.
I know. So then I think she had about a week left on the holiday. We managed to book it on one of the last days she was here. And I'm pulling up to the Skydive Dubai, and it feels a lot windier than it was when they cancelled it the previous time. So that kind of made me really nervous. But yeah, we finally managed to get it booked in, and we did it on the third attempt. And I have to say, it was an experience, but I was just terrified the whole way through. I mean, 10 seconds off, I think maybe from the runway, they opened the doors wide open. You're sat basically on a school bench in this plane. You can see straight through to the cockpit. The guy is driving the plane with no socks, no shoes on, not even wearing flip-flops, just bare feet driving this plane. The door's wide open. And of course, all the skydivers, they're doing like 5 dives a day. So they're just really confident, they don't really understand how big of a thing this is for me. And they're just really relaxed and joking around. And then people jump out at different stages. And I tell you what, it's crossing that line. There's a picture which I'll share. And it just shows my full range of emotion. My eyes were closed for the first minute. I didn't even open my eyes. And I was trying to grab on to feel more secure, but then I was worried about grabbing on to something too tight and releasing myself. And after the end of it, they video the whole thing, so they've got a camera in your face from the moment you take off till the end. And at the end of it, they come in your face and say, how was it? Do you want to do it again? And honestly, I said, not really, no. That'll be enough for me.
Actually, I look forward to seeing that on the Instagram. You have to put that up on the Instagram for sure, my friend.
Yeah. It was an experience.
But isn't it funny, though? Isn't it funny? We're all king of our own jungles. We in the property world, we're kings of the jungle. Give us a skydiving instructor to come and sign a contract or come and sign a mortgage application, whatever. They'd be shaking like a leaf like you were. Because they dive out of an airplane 5 times a day, it's just like hopping off a bus, isn't it, for them? So, but we are all kings of our own jungle, and we should listen to the experts.
You're right, 100%. This guy actually did. I don't know if you've seen on YouTube. They jumped from Princess Tower. So right off the top, they put a platform out, and is it base jump, they call it? Base jumped off the Princess Tower.
Yeah.
It's just madness. There's a video online of a guy in the marina. I think it's Salafa Tower. And you get those mornings in the winter when the fog is just completely below and you can't see a single thing. He puts a parachute on his back and jumps off his balcony as if he's just going to work. And that's...
wow.
It's all on YouTube to see. It's mad.
No, would you believe it? I've only ever once been on a mini roller coaster, and it was a mini one as well. And I thought, I'll give this a go. First ever time on a roller coaster, and it doesn't look too high. Got on it, never again. Never ever getting on a roller coaster.
Are you not an adrenaline?
I hate. Yeah, no, not for me, my friend. No, not my age. Give me some cricket or rugby. I'm happy. But
sensible sports.
That's the limit of it now, my friend.
Sensible sports.
Yeah,
I'll stick to the golf for now.
Yeah, we need to. You need to take me out. It's probably not now until autumn time, but you need to take me out and have a laugh at my skill levels.
Yeah, well, I'm currently contemplating doing a summer membership, to be honest, because there's always good deals through the summer. Obviously, playing golf in Dubai during the summer is kind of like playing golf in the rain, in the cold, in the mud. In the winter, it's obviously not the preferred time to be playing. So they give some really good deals. And at the moment, some golf courses have joined together. Jumeirah Golf Estates, the Earth Course and the Fire Course, the Faldo Course at the Emirates, the Creek Golf Course, and I think one more. I'm not sure which one it is. But they've all joined up. So for 5,700 dirhams, you get unlimited access to play as much as you want from June to September.
Any tea time, or is it after a certain time?
Yeah, you've got to book in and get a tea time. But you're pretty much open to play when you want, which is great.
Are golf courses back open now? Are they? I suppose with the social gathering, because they've limited it to 5 people, haven't they? So you're not going to get more than 4 people in a round of golf. So golf courses should be open.
Golf courses are open. Yeah, I was at Dubai Hills earlier. in and around the golf club, showing some properties, and I went into the golf club, and it was open. Yeah, it was pretty much fully open. There obviously things have changed, like the changing rooms are not open, so you can't go and mix in the changing rooms, and there's obviously a sauna and a steam room, but you're not allowed to use that. But yeah, it's all open. You've got to imagine
what
golf,
an amazing deal.
Yeah, you've got to imagine that golf courses are the safest place to be. That's what I'm telling the missus anyway.
So what was the? Yeah, and she believe in you. So what was that? 5,000?
5,700 dirhams from start of June until I think it's the end of September, and you get to play on all those courses. You can play every day.
Some of those courses you actually mentioned used to be, or still are, 1,000 dirhams around.
Well, the Earth course at Jumeirah Golf Estates is the final stage of the race to Dubai, so it's one of the most prestigious courses in the world, you can say. It's where they have at one point it was the richest prize in sports. I think it was about $12 million the winner would receive, or 12 million euros for winning the whole race to Dubai. So the whole season on the European tour would culminate in the event on the Earth course, and you can go and play that every morning. I've done it before, and obviously being such a golf geek as I am, I remember just driving around in the morning on that course on my own after watching it on TV for so many years. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So we have got our guest in the green room, so I'm going to add him into the call.
Great.
It takes a few seconds.
Now I'm really looking forward to this. What a story. And I do recommend his book to everybody, but you'll be hearing a lot more about the book in a second, I'm sure.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Paul, welcome. Can you hear us?
I can, yeah. How are you doing, guys?
Really good.
Here he is.
Really well. Welcome to the DubaiLife Podcast.
Is that the lockdown beard, Paul?
Most certainly is, my word. Look at this. Crazy.
Yeah, looking good.
You're not the only one out there.
I don't know why I did it. I think I sort of, everyone's trying to do something as they land and they start to get used to what this thing could end up looking like. So I kind of committed within the first week of landing in the UK. I'm not going to shave, and
that's where you're up to.
I've stuck to my guns. I'm not sure how long that's going to last. But
So you're back in the UK at the moment, obviously.
Yeah, I'm back. I managed to get out pretty much on the last flight. I think it was out of Dubai. I kind of figured that I was gonna, things would stop for a while and the pause button would be hit.
Yeah.
And if I had to sort of sit somewhere for 3 months doing very little, I'd prefer to try and do that with my two boys, who I don't get to see enough as it is, and use this as a blessed time, as a time that was been taken from us. It's actually a time that's been gifted to us. Yeah. So that's what we've done.
Yeah, we're going to come on to it, but I know from reading your book, time is a very important aspect to you now, isn't it? You've had these chances in life, and now you really do value your time. I think you made one quote about making the most of every single second. You can't add to 24 hours in a day, so therefore those 24 hours, every second counts.
Yeah, I don't sit around watching television. I don't sit around doing nothing. I think that I can't, having lost so much of my life due to certain bumps along the road that we've enjoyed. Since sort of waking up from that coma, I made the decision that I'd try and make every single moment count and do something with as much of the hours of the day that I've got. So nice. We're using time to sort of build a much stronger bond with those two kids of mine. And
how old are they now?
I have a 14-year-old who's going on 22. And I have a 6-year-old who's going on. He's actually a gorgeous little, but they're both stunning kids. I have a 6-year-old and a nearly 15.
Ah, cool.
Brilliant.
So what's happening in the UK at the minute? Is it? I know there's quite a severe lockdown there, but it is getting more relaxed. So you getting out with the boys more?
Yeah, well, look, I managed to sort of the back end of last year. My parents, who moved from Egypt with me after the revolution, they came to Dubai. My dad does a lot of work with training of our teams in upselling and customer service. But as we all know, Dubai is a fast-paced city. My mum and dad are not getting any younger, so they kind of made the decision that they wanted to retire and have somewhere to live in the UK. I was missing, spending quality time with my kids, coming in and staying in a travel lodge for the weekend and disappearing on a Sunday night before school wasn't really benefiting any of us. So I made the decision to get a family home in the UK, and I got a cracking deal in Tenbury Wells on a beautiful property with a load of land on a rental, so we could try it, see what that felt like for a while. Unfortunately, I managed to get that deal done end of February. They moved over a couple of weeks earlier than expected. So we've got ourselves, a nice little place in some woods, quiet, out of the way, plenty of outdoor spaces to go for walks. So we've been absolutely blessed with that. That was a real lucky move.
I'm surprised. I thought you'd be going back up close to Liverpool for your beloved Liverpool FC.
Well, there's nothing to see there anymore, is there? Has it been announced? Are they going to carry on with the league? Is this going to be the year?
Yesterday they were started training. Individual players started training on their own, and I think, look, if we can test in 15 minutes, that's what they're saying is possible today. Why can't all footballers be tested in the morning of the match? Mm-hmm. Those that are okay are part of the squad. Those that are not okay are not, and you play it behind closed doors and you let it play out the way it's supposed to play out.
Well, the football world. Yeah, but the football world is so rich in money. If we can't get together to get games on with that much money to support the game, we're in serious trouble. I'm a big Leeds fan, so I'm desperate for it to happen. Like you're desperate for the first time. What is it, 22 years? And you deserve to be, don't you? I mean, even more than Leeds, you deserve to be champions.
A bit more than that. Well, I was born in Leeds, so my second team is Leeds. My dad.
And I'm a United fan, so I'm going to leave the chat right now, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, you should stay. We've had to put up with you lads for a long time.
I'll bear it for now.
Yeah. Indeed. Right. Well, Paul, as I think I sent an email to you. I was reading the book, and what a story! It is an amazing story. So, for all our listeners, I would and I'm not just saying this. Liam said we got Paul coming on. He's written this book. I went out to buy it. Thought, I'll do some research, and I sort of picked it up on Saturday, quite late Saturday. 3 hours later, for the first time, I put it down. I think you had me in tears by page 30 twice. And unbelievable! What a story!
It has me in tears every time I pick it up. It's so easy to look at other people's lives and think that that's impressive, that's amazing, that's wonderful. When it's kind of your own life. It obviously I've had a fabulous life. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I've had my highs and I've had my lows. But I enjoy the lows as much as I enjoy the highs, because without those lows, you can't have high. But then when I read an email that I got from yourself, and I get them regularly on a daily basis from different people that have picked the book up, and that they really think it's actually quite a good book, and that's so humbling and weird to hear that my life, which is just my life, no different than your life, everybody else has their own little story to tell, that so many people have been inspired by it, and it is quite a good book, and it's weird for me to say that
it just flows. It just flows, and all the different experiences you had, and how you sort of picked yourself up time and time again, and you didn't allow yourself to be beaten, and I think your parents have played a massive part in your life as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, they have. And look, I had a fabulous person write it. My life coach, lady who's helped me through some darker moments in my life. She knows me probably as good as anybody on this planet. So when she sort of said, "Look, would you mind if I write it?" We were working with another author at the time, and I was finding it very difficult to actually connect with him and go as deep as we can. And I think when I made the decision to do the book, I made the decision I was going to be as honest as possible. And at some points, people won't like me. I didn't like me. I think there's been three clear sort of Paul Evanses that have walked this planet. And, you have to be honest. You have to be truthful. You have to sort of tell the real story, the real you. And even if that does at times make people think, oof. But I can do that because of who I am today,
And again, from a reader, there's one or two sort of like stories, and you think, oh yeah, but it was naked, wasn't it? It was you. You weren't trying to sugarcoat it. Nope. This is it. I'm not perfect. I'm not a saint. Nope. This is my life, and I've made my mistakes, but I've learned from my mistakes, which was very, very
that was the thing. If I was going to do it, I had to be truthful. I had to be honest. I had to tell the stories, the real stories, the honesty, the things that I didn't do very well in my life, the things I did badly. The type of individual I was back then. And Caroline did an exceptional job. I mean, look, this lady's never written a book in her life, and wow, what a book she's wrote.
Indeed. So let's get into it then. And again, we're not just going to say, Paul, tell us your life story. We're going to throw it out there. So can I start, Liam? Can I start?
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So come on then, Paul. What are the things that shaped your early years, your formative years? What made you the person?
I'd just like to add, I think through all of this, what you managed to overcome, and I just mentioned it before you came on air, the journey that you've been through to get to where you are today, it takes a certain type of person. And I think, looking at where you started, would you say that your early days and your early struggles sort of gave you that chip on the shoulder and gave you something inside that was helped later on in life? Is that where it came from?
I think Paul needs to explain to everybody what he was up against in the early years.
Yeah.
Look, I think, for those that have not read it, I was acutely dyslexic back in the day. Sorry, the kettle's boiling now. 1 sec.
It's fine.
Yeah.
See, when we're doing the podcast with people back home in England, you've got to deal with the kettle boiling.
Sorry, guys.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Dyslexic, and obviously back, we're talking, mid 80s. It was not something that was recognised like it is today. So, it wasn't particularly talked about. It wasn't well known, and it was, back then I remember it being something like a disease that I'd actually caught. So very little understanding, and as a child trying to go through school with that hanging over your head, you're a target. You get bullied. You stand out. You're different. You have a typewriter, and obviously the teachers can't help you because they don't actually know what it is. So it's not the perfect environment. I was lucky enough to have a very loving family back home, but schooling was not my bag.
No.
But what it did do, and I got asked recently. Actually, my son has started reading the book. I thought he reached a point where I'd be okay for him to have a read of it. And he asked me this question, if you were ever to meet those teachers again, what would you do now, Dad? He's a 14-year-old full of testosterone. I said, I'd buy him dinner, Cole. He's like, what? What do you mean buy him dinner?
Yeah.
I said, I'd say thank you. I'd absolutely say thank you, because probably they didn't realise it then, and I didn't realise it, but they were giving me a backbone of adversity, the ability to just, I'm not going to let this problem, this challenge, whatever it may be, dyslexic, coma, revolution, jail, I'm not going to let that stop me on my journey of becoming the best version of me. They're bumps that you have to surpass. They're things that you have to get past. And COVID is another one. I'm asked regularly. The food and beverage industry is going to change forever. What are you going to do? Are you going to start selling houses? You're going to move into a different industry? It's just another little bump. And I never see any of them as insurmountable, because of the training and the things that I had to get past when I was a youngster.
Yeah. If you got through the things you got through, this COVID's going to be nothing, is it? So you, without realising, you had quite a very bad case of dyslexia, but that targeted the bullies, didn't it? That brought the bullies to you. But you had a unique way of finally standing up to them, which I wouldn't recommend, but it worked a treat.
I'm not sure it's a unique way, and if I probably got the opportunity to do it again, I probably wouldn't go that way. Looking back now as an adult and as a parent and as somebody who's has a lot more empathy for different difficult situations, those bullies were just being kids, and unfortunately that's something that most children have to either not necessarily go through, but kids will witness it on some level. Unfortunately, because I was from, and as you both will know, I was from a Liverpool overspill town, but I went to a Middlewich overspill to a Manchester United overspill school. So I was both. I was a Liverpool fan with a typewriter. It probably couldn't have been much worse.
Yeah. We won't tell the people they have to read the book how you got rid of the bully, but you did. But even at that stage, and part of this was protecting your first business, wasn't it?
Yeah. We're all the sum of our parts, and the nature nurture debate will go forever. My dad is a born sales guy. That's what he does. As you read, I was sort of absolutely enticed by that world of sales and interaction between people. And as I started to come out of my 13, 14, 15 and stop worrying about the fact that my handwriting looked like a spider ran across a page, or my spelling was atrocious. There'd be moments where I couldn't even spell the word "and." It just doesn't compute. But with that then comes another set of skills, and where dyslexia takes something away from you, it absolutely gives you so much more. So that thought process and that belief is, okay, I can't be a professional footballer, but I can do this. So, there's no point in beating myself up that I can't play football like Mark or Les or Dave, but I can do this better. So early on in my life, I started to realize that there's very little point in focusing on what we can't do. But if you concentrate and focus on what we can do, and we're all a genius. Every single person that walked this planet is a genius. The talent that I had, and this is the advice I give to anybody, is try and find yours. And it's not the same as his, and it's not the same as hers. But you have your unique skill. Every one of us were the most adaptable creatures ever made. And that's what I think. I focused on what I got given with dyslexia, not what it's like.
Yeah, good. And again, being a parent to the two boys, the advice you give, to a parent whose boys have been bullied, because as you said earlier, there is a lot of, in this Instagram world of the haves and the have-nots, there's so much bullying going on. What advice would you give to any parent, or indeed any boy that or girl for that matter, who's been bullied for whatever reason?
As a parent, you've got to keep close to your kids. You can't be seen as sort of.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
As a parent, you can't be sort of looking over their shoulders. You've got to keep close to what they're looking at. In today's world of social media, it's very different to the challenges I had from a bullying perspective. Online is, it's given us so much, but we don't know what it's taken from us yet. And we also, it's been a nanosecond, hasn't it, really, in the last 10 years, social media, digital, online, connected, it's relentless. And it really does worry me today that society is moving so much more from this instant gratification, where if you're not loved today, you've got to do something more extreme to get love, to get likes, to get followers. And we're training society to connect and to care about input from people we don't even know.
I know.
So I heard an analogy once that when I was my age, today, social media was 14, would have been driving on your bike up the road, knocking on your next door neighbour's door and going, like me?
Face to face.
And that's what we're doing. We're posting this. You've got 14-year-old girls that get 200 likes on this picture, 600 on that one. This one showed a little bit more butt cheek. So that's what I'm going to do, because that makes me liked. The implications of what that could mean to the mental state of our youth today scares the pants off me. So I'm very aware of that, and I'm conscious that my son, he's on social, but he doesn't post a single thing. I've managed to keep him away from that and say, look, it doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter. And it's today's fad. Will Instagram be massive in 15 years' time? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it will. We'll have moved on to something else. But I just hope that at some point, one of the things I'm gaining from COVID situation is that you are seeing so many more people connect like humans and humanity requires us to connect. More genuine, more honest, more time, more face, more calls, more real substance to our relationships, instead of just, I've got 60,000 friends on Instagram. I haven't. I've got 7. I've got the same friends on Instagram that I've got in my real life. It's no different.
True. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? All the Instagram leaders, they put on their fantastic 5-star lives, and everybody looks at them thinking, oh, I want that lifestyle, and they think it's 24/7. You probably lived in Egypt, which we'll come on to in a minute, but it's not a 24/7 euphoria existence, is it? They have boring down moments like the rest of us, but yet the average sort of boy and girl in the street who look up to these heroes of Instagram think their life is so desirable and it's a must-have, but it's not, is it?
You know what it does? It gives us a highlight reel window into everybody's life, and it makes us jealous, and it makes us look at ourselves and think we could have done better. When my parents were young and they had me, and they had a row with my girlfriend, like you have rows with your girlfriends, boyfriends. That's life. That's normal. That's good. It's the low. You've got to have the low to enjoy the high. But back then, you know, if my dad had a row with my mum, he'd go to the pub, he'd have a pint with his mate Dave, who'd also had a row with his missus, and chew the fat over it, and then they'd talk about footy, and then they'd go home. Today's world, you know, we are one click away from a DM into somebody we've never met. It makes it so easy to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, if you look at how easy it is today to connect to a girl in a bikini and just do the numbers, you know, it's stretching what we had as, and that it worries me greatly that we've just become, it's so simple today to move from this to that, because that looks better, because on Instagram that looks amazing, and that's it's not real life. It's absolutely not real life.
And again, you know, this is wisdom, isn't it, that you only get from being on the planet Earth and going through various experiences. I've got 3 kids. My 2 daughters are very mature and like sensible, but I've got a 20-year-old boy, and I worry sick. That's probably too strong a phrase, but I do worry a lot about what the future holds for him, and try and keep him grounded, and like try and sort of have him switched on to the reality of life at the minute, because, you know, before you know it, they can just get carried away. Yeah, you've got to go your own way, make your own mistakes and learn from it and become a better person for it. But it's still, being a parent is a worrying time, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, you look at and you can be on Love Island, you can get kicked off a week after it enters, and you've got 1 million followers. I mean, and you know, you've gone from no one to somebody in a nanosecond, and you know, it probably took me 40 years on this planet to kind of figure it all out. And yet you've got 21-year-olds today with 1 million followers getting 25,000 likes on a bikini picture, thinking they've done it, they've earned it. No one's earned anything. You know, one of the things I tell, you know, I'm busy with my son is, slow down. Don't want to be 15. Don't want to be 16. Don't get on that merry-go-round of finance to income to finance to need a credit card. I need a car. I need to earn more money. I need a bigger, you know, just chill. Because once you're on that run, it doesn't stop. Your outgoings become more, your expenditure becomes more, your income requirement becomes more, and it's just relentless. You know, I sat in the car with him the other day, and he's like, "Wow, Dad, I can drive in 2.5 years." Wow.
Yeah.
No, enjoy the school.
Yeah. Enjoy your youth. Enjoy playing football in the park when you can with your mates. You know, it's as simple as that.
Stay young. You've got plenty of time to be an adult. You've got plenty of time for responsibility. You've got plenty of time to grow up. You know, I had to fight to where I got to, and my hope is that I can pass Cole the messages of fighting to get to where you get to without having to go through the scars and the pain that I went to. But I still want him to earn it. I still want him to, you know, fight for it and feel that it has some substance. You know, easy come, easy go. You know, you earn money easily, it goes easily. You know,
because I mean, again, after you had various, like, your first entrepreneurial business, you got into the world of finance, didn't you? And you did very well there.
Yeah, we did okay.
Yeah, you did well. But again, you were doing well, and then something happened which took you out of society for a while. But again, and I know you don't regret it now.
We like to call it a 1-star hotel.
Yes.
We had a 1-star hotel.
And again, you came through that. You picked up lessons of life in that institution. You came out. You got back into the financial world. And dare I say it, this is where, and I was there as well. When I was 30, I had my own chain of real estate offices in Kettering in Northamptonshire. And my own bank manager was calling me a rich young bastard. I said, yeah, I am, aren't I? Yeah, I am. And you just get carried away. And this is what happened to you before you went to Egypt, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, as I say, you know, I came from being somebody who was, in my own little mind, was nobody. I was stupid. I was a failure. I was never going to really achieve anything. As much as I was busy with little things and bits and bobs, you know, being told you're stupid every day of your life for 3 or 4 years will sit. And that sat with me. And then all of a sudden, you know, I went from being that back to...
Oh, we just lost the signal a little bit. Are you back with us?
Ready for that power. I was ready to deal with, you know, being humble and being good at what you do, but without screaming and shouting about it. And I went from being, you know, as I say, sad and lacking confidence and self-doubt and all the rest of it to being this, you know, if you forgive my language, an arrogant prick.
A certain IQ test helped on that, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. But anyway, so there you were. You finally landed the job in the finance industry that you really wanted. And you worked for this very dynamic woman who worked the socks off you. And her way of motivation was to sack the lowest 10% earners. Was it per month?
Yeah, look, it wasn't hers. That was Jack Welch. You know, I worked for GE under the tenure of Jack Welch, who was probably one of the most iconic CEOs that's ever walked the planet. He was very much of the opinion that survival of the fittest. So every month the bottom 10% got asked to leave, and the top 10% got paid bonuses that would make your eyes water.
Ruthless.
Ruthless. But it creates this jungle of salespeople next to each other. There's no real, you know, we're all team members. But yeah, if I have to cut you to survive, I will. And it created a certain environment. And you know, I would never want to work in that environment again. I loved it, and it built me, and it trained me, and it developed me, and it taught me some great skills. It gave me a great work ethic. You know, I have an engine. I'm not the smartest guy on the planet at all. I'm not a rocket scientist on any level, but I have an engine, and I don't stop. And I got that from GE. There's no doubt about that. You know, that ability just to keep going. I don't sleep until I get the job done. And then as soon as I get the job done, I have a sleep and I find the next job to get done. It's relentless. So I got that.
But you did decide enough was enough, didn't you? I know there's a reason for it, but you did get off the roundabout and decide to recreate yourself in another country.
Yeah, I'd realised that I'd lost the plot. I realised I'd become somebody I didn't particularly like, and I'd lost my way. And, you know, success back then was money and cars and houses and bonuses and head of the leader table and these little monthly trophies about how well you were doing, and then you could shove it in everybody else's face of how great you were. As that took me in another direction and made me become somebody again I was very unproud of, and that was probably the point in my life where I most disliked myself, when I was really like, wow, what have you actually become, and is this what you really want? You know, it's that Wolf on Wall Street environment, you know, where you just become this ruthless animal that is chasing these impossible targets of success, and it didn't matter who got knocked away along your journey. And you know, at some point I woke up and realized, yeah, this is not who I want to become. This I can't. If I carry on like this, then I'm going to be somebody that nobody's ever going to be proud to talk about.
Indeed. So, what did you do?
Jumped on an aeroplane and got very drunk in a bar one night and agreed to lend somebody some money to open a nightclub.
As you do.
Yeah.
And how many suitcases of cash did you have to take around the next day?
It sounds crazy, but you know, how many people have done more silly things at 6 o'clock in the morning and agreed to invest in a nightclub?
There's a lot worse you could have done, I guess.
Most of our silly moments that we do as human beings are done between the hours of 3 and 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
You get to my age and you're always asleep in those hours, so hopefully you avoid these instances nowadays.
Yeah, but you know, don't forget I was 20, 25, 26. So yeah, I invested with a guy called Freck, who is still my business partner today. We've done well over 40 different bars and restaurants and nightclubs together, and it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah, because there you were with 3 suitcases or 3 bags of cash, heavily hungover, and you were just talking figures with Freck, and you go, right, so the money he wants me to invest, if I drink here every night in this bar for the next year, that's about the same amount of money he wants me to invest. So your first question to get the deal done was, Freck, can I drink in this bar for free every night if I'm a partner?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he said yes, and then there's the money.
That was it. And you talk about 3 suitcases of cash. You know, that was 6,000 sterling. You know, the sterling to Egyptian pound meant that I had so much cash, but it was only $6,000. It was 6,000 sterling. And I figured I could drink $6,000 in probably a month. So if I could get this out of a year, then I probably would. And that was that was it. There was no P&L, there was no balance sheet, there was no cash flow forecast, there was no budget plans, there was nothing. Just, well, I drink 200 quid a night, a year, done. Yeah, I'm in. And that was it.
Cool. But it was the start of something quite spectacular, wasn't it? The way you built that business, Papa's.
Well, no, actually, to be fair, no, that wasn't the moment when we rocketed. We had a wonderful 18 months of being business partners, but it was a lifestyle. It wasn't a business. You know, we would we'd just get on it every day from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And, you know, I was getting super carried away. That realizing I wasn't particularly proud of myself in England, getting on an aeroplane and going to Egypt, that calmed me down to a certain degree, but it also took me in another direction because, you know, I'm living a lifestyle where I don't have to get up particularly early in the morning. I don't have a boss chasing me down and pushing me on targets. So I found the bottom of a bottle and just went out partying every day for about 18 months. Yeah. And then that's when the biggest thing that's ever happened to me.
Yes, which you're going to come on to, isn't it? Yeah. You know, we'll tell the listeners in your own words what happened because it's quite graphic in the book, isn't it? The morning you woke up.
Yeah, I woke up with my stomach looking like a pregnant piece of blue cheese. I was massively bloated, had the most horrendous pains. Decided that it was probably best that I went to a hospital, got taken to a hospital. Within 12 hours, my lungs had collapsed. And they had to perform a lung puncture where they bang one of those things through you to take the fluid off your lung. I was wide awake during that process, which is an interesting experience. That'll let you know, that'll wake you up. So they did that. I then drifted off into intensive care. My parents were told I had 4 days to live and that the hospital in Egypt couldn't look after me. Wow. My father then went on a crusade to beg and steal to try and run together to get an air ambulance to come and pick me up. Thank the Lord he did. And we had 4 angels on this planet that agreed to lend my dad some money, irrelevant of whether I woke up or not, or they get their money back. You know, my father's not a particularly wealthy man. He invested all that money in the boat. Nobody had access to my money. I didn't have a lot of money, but nobody had access to it because I was asleep. Fortunately enough, an incident happened in Switzerland where, unfortunately, a passenger that was due to be air ambulance back to the UK didn't make it. The pilot decided to offload the body and come and get me. And
that's amazing because, like, it wasn't you were in Italy or you were in Austria next door to Switzerland. You're in bloody Egypt.
The chances of that
that man could have gone home and had an early night. That man said, no, this is my job. This is why I chose this industry. This is what I do. I'm going to go and save that boy's life.
Yeah. So that was, as you described in the book, that was one of the miracles of that week. So the air ambulance picked you up, took you back to one of the hospitals in Manchester. And what was the second miracle of the week?
That the number 1 pancreatic surgeon in the UK was there.
Just standing there. How, it's just beyond... It's beyond Hollywood, isn't it? Yeah, there you are, close to death. And like probably the one surgeon in the UK who could save you was actually standing about 100 meters when you actually went through the doors.
Yeah, that's 15 years ago and I get shivers when I think about it.
Yeah. Wow. I can imagine.
But now we're now going to come on to the most fascinating bit of the book. You in your coma.
Oh, the coma.
Yeah, man, that was cool.
Here I'm still speechless. I mean, like, so was it an induced coma or was it the medical? Did they actually put you into a coma to like relax you and try and work on you, or was it from the illness?
So you have to understand that I got acute pancreatitis, which basically means your pancreas starts secreting the enzymes that digest your food outside of you instead of inside of you. So it basically begins to digest your internal organs slowly but surely. It has an 80% mortality rate. So
is this alcohol? Is this alcohol induced? Because isn't this what took Patrick Swayze?
No, acute pancreatic cancer took Patrick Swayze.
Okay, so right. So was this through your lifestyle of Egypt? Was that?
No doubt about it. I drank too much. So alcohol. If you drink too much alcohol and you don't have a rest from it, it's a continual top up of alcohol in the human body. You run a risk of getting acute pancreatitis. It's not. You get pancreatitis. People get it quite regularly. It is an alcohol-based disease, but I got acute pancreatitis. But I got acute pancreatitis. I got a coli. I got MRSA. I had a collapsed lung, an embolism in my neck that nearly killed me, and the priest came in to get me. And I also flatlined on the operating table when they were taking it out. I was poorly.
You were very poorly, mate. But the biggest thing was that you were in a coma for how long?
77 days.
77 days. And during those 77 days, you lived a totally separate but detailed life in Singapore, in your mind, in your coma.
With more memory today than of my schoolhood. So yeah, I had a full-on job. I'd get up in the morning, I'd have a shower in my house. I remember the shower, I remember the shower gel I used, I remember the colour of the tiles. I'd come downstairs, I'd make my breakfast, I'd jump in my car, I'd drive to work, and I'd run a team of salespeople that were developing virtual reality software, and I was the lead sales guy. Wow. And then I was testing the latest 2.0 version of this software, and basically you could buy somebody's life story. So if you wanted to be Bill Gates, you would buy his life. You'd buy the game of Bill Gates. You'd plug in, get into the pod, and off you'd go, and you'd be Bill Gates, or you'd be Jack Welch, or you'd be Muhammad Ali, or Mike Tyson, or Ronaldo, or whatever it may be. And I was testing the last little bit of software, and the game broke, and it locked me in the room. And I spent in my world, I spent 2 years locked in that.
Wow.
Wow.
But then you started to hear voices to like encourage you to get out. You were trapped in a membrane, weren't you? For you weren't panicked.
Is that a common phenomenon with people in a coma? Is that a way that the body kind of keeps you going? Do other people have that?
There's multitude of documented evidence regarding what the human brain does when coma victims are there. It is a way of, I do believe without a shadow of a doubt, it was my mind keeping me alive while the doctors had to fix me. And I was busy, I regularly get asked, how bad was it, and how do you ever get over something like that? For me, the lung punch was horrendous because I was awake. Then I was asleep, and then I had this wonderful life, normal life, off living in another world in Singapore. Unfortunately, my father died in the dream, which was pretty horrific for me, because that was as real as actually losing your loved one. And then I woke up, and then I was obviously in a lot of pain. But for most of, I was in hospital for about 6 months. But for most of it, I was living a normal life, totally normal life. So it was not me that suffered the most. It was my family. It was my friends. It was my loved ones that what I put them through was horrific, and it was self-inflicted. This was not a car accident. This was me being an idiot and drinking myself into a stupor. So yeah, it is normal that people have experiences in coma situations. Possibly not as real as mine was. Possibly not as detailed as mine was. But when you come out of it, you do have to have quite a bit of psychiatric help, because I went to sleep with no hair, no nails, and I woke up with more hair than now and big long nails. I lost about 40 kilos, so I lost about a third of my body weight.
Wow.
You could put your hand around my legs, they were so skinny because the amount of weight.
77 days.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a long time, isn't it?
I was 100. Today I'm 80 kilos. I've got, when they put me into the air ambulance, I was 118 kilos.
Right.
And when I woke up from a coma, and the first time they moved me out of the bed, I was 72 kilos.
I know. But it doesn't even stop there, does it? Because, you finally came out of the coma. They were going to operate on you. They got you on the operating table. And again, you had another out-of-body experience, didn't you, watching it?
Yes, they... somebody put me there to watch that. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not a devout Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a believer in, but I believe in the greater good. There is most certainly something that is out there that takes care of us on a whole new level. And without a doubt, this. I talk about wake up calls a lot. I've had a number of them in my life. Somebody decided that it was not my time to go. Somebody decided that I have a greater purpose on this planet, and that I was about to screw it up, and they wanted to make sure I would never screw it up again. So I was, I remember coming out, and again, that was super, super clear. And it wasn't like a scene out of ER, or it wasn't like a scene out of Casualty. It was very calm, and it was very collected. There wasn't a lot of blood. It wasn't gory. But I sat in the corner of the room, and as I heard the beeping start to stop, and then I heard myself flatline, and I heard the hive of activity, and I watched the nurses get more and more busy, and I watched the doctors prepare the defibrillator, and I watched them restart me. And even today, when I see things on TV where there's somebody being having their heart restarted, my toes curl up like they did when I was given that shock. And it was like it was like when you drink a cup of tea in the morning and you miss it, or your mum says there's a brew and you're thirsty and you have a quick gulp, but it's too hot to drink, and it was like that. And it was this, like I just drank lava burning through me. And the guy gave me 3 jolts, and then I came out, and the man saved my life.
And again, there's got to be a purpose to this, hasn't there? You know, you could have died so many times, etc., but you didn't.
Look,
there's got to be a purpose.
No, there's most certainly. There was those 2 miracles as I was landed. I've most certainly had my cat's 9 lives. That's for sure.
Indeed. But so anyway, you had a slow rehabilitation, learning to walk again, for example, things like that. But you headed back to Egypt, didn't you? Because your parents were there, the business was there, but you went back into the business.
Yeah, look, and that's it. You asked me the question before. We were on an incredible tear. We didn't go on a tear until I came back from the coma, really. As I was saying, it was lifestyle. Yeah, the second I stopped drinking, the second I reinvented myself, the second I realised that I'd been given a second chance in life, and what was that for? And the journey became not about me anymore; it became about everybody else. If I was able to help my team's journey, by default, my journey would improve. And that was one of the things that I learned so much from that experience, was that it can't be about me; it has to be about other people, and that's something I tried to sort of ensure for the last 15 years since I had that.
Yeah, especially today in these times, in this world, isn't it? With your business interests here in Dubai, you need that like never before.
Yeah, and is it?
I
would imagine,
there, guys.
Oh, I would imagine, Paul. Can you hear us? Hello. Can you hear me, Richard?
I can hear you.
Yeah, maybe the Wi-Fi's down. Incredible stuff so far, isn't it?
It is. It is. And so the hairs on the back of my arms are standing up just listening to him. I had the pleasure of reading the book, but to hear it from his own mouth, amazing. And again, we're part way through his story, but it's still got more to come.
Yeah,
amazing.
I think for me at that point, after having that almost a second chance, it's something that's always going to be in his mind, isn't it? And something that's going to drive him on. Being so lucky to have that chance, and the miracles that happened for him to be alive, even must. But you hear him now. You hear in his voice how you hear it now in his voice how calm and wise he is. It is. He's gone through all these experiences. So to own the number of F&B, food and beverage businesses he has in Dubai in this time, any other businessman would be like, be a nervous wreck. But there, Paul sits in the UK, pretty relaxed. Obviously, he's got his finger on the pulse, but he's not panicking, because what's there to panic after what he's gone through? Yeah. This is just a drop in the ocean. This is everything is surmountable, which is, I think, an important message to get across. Yeah, it's almost as if what an experience to have and to come out of and be able to operate again. It's I don't know if you've seen Darren Brown. I'm a massive fan of Darren Brown, and he had an experiment called, he does a few of these, but one was called The Apocalypse, and he had a lot of contestants entering the show, and one guy was entered by his parents, basically just sitting around doing nothing with his life, working a part-time job, no motivation, just not a good person. So what Darren Brown did was he fixed up this guy's life. It was almost like the Truman Show, and he set everything up so that it looked like to this individual the world was coming to an end. So they took over his phone, they took over the TVs in his house, and for 2 weeks they basically planted the seed that there was this apocalypse coming. There was an asteroid going to hit the Earth, and he fully believed it. And it all culminated into, he was on a bus driving to an event, to a Coldplay concert, I think it was, and the asteroid hit, and they had all this special effects set up, and he was put into hypnotism and literally woke up, and the news came on in the hospital bed, and the world had ended. And the guy, he fully believed that the world had ended. He thought he'd lost everything. And then obviously it transpired that he had to sort of survive and get through it. And when he did, he came out of it a completely different person with a new perspective on life. And I think he ended up being a care worker and really making something of his life. We've lost him. I think
he's gone, hasn't he?
May have to reconnect into the call.
Dial back in, But again, I've had similar situations. I've had 2 divorces, which I never saw coming.
Yeah.
But, you never want it to happen on either one. But it actually does sort of like recalibrate you, makes you think again, makes you sort of redesign yourself
things.
and sort of bring you back down to earth. Early 30s, I was very successful back in the UK in real estate. And then my first wife just left me at the drop of a hat. And then that made me go traveling. And when I started going traveling, I met so many great people.
Yeah.
And then I sort of got married again. And unfortunately, that marriage went wrong again. That's brought me to Dubai. But both times, it's a horrible thing to say. You go through 6 months of agony, but it does make you a better person in the long run. Yeah,
it's horrible at the time, anything like that. But I do believe anybody that's ever achieved anything, it's never been an easy ride. Nobody who has high levels of success and happiness in their life haven't had to go through some serious adversity. And that's difficult, I think. He was talking about how he raises his kids. It is difficult sometimes. If you've been successful, how do you get your kids to experience, you're not going to want them to go through the difficulties, but deep down that they can't have it easy. It's,
but as I say, Paul's been successful, but he's had some bad times as well. But it makes him the man he is, and he can impart that wisdom to the kids, just as much as success isn't everything, is it? You need your valleys to appreciate the views from the mountaintops. You need to go through the valleys to get to the mountaintops to appreciate the view. Yeah.
Exactly. Look, we've never had this before. We've never had a disconnection. So I'm not sure how to work it. What I think I'm going to do is try and figure out with my very limited technically advanced brain how to pause this. And then maybe we can reconnect once we email him. Let me try and hopefully this will work and not delete the whole thing. I think it should be fine. I'm very nervous now. I feel like I'm pressing the button to end the world. We're back. So we lost you for a little bit there. Where were we up to now?
I think
you were back in Egypt after this whole traumatic experience, and you'd survived, and you've come out a new person, and it was a reset and an opportunity for you to start life again as a new person. So you were back in Egypt, more focused, and
we were chatting a little bit more about how something so significant that can really slap you sideways and make you have how to really live your life. And I think that was the biggest thing that came out about it, that I really got to have a long, hard look while I was lying in that hospital about the person I am and who do I want to become. And that's when I started to develop the thought process of the best version of me and how do I sort of visualize that? What sort of son do I want to be? What sort of boyfriend, what sort of partner, what sort of friend? What do I want to get involved in? What does the best version of Paul Evans look like? And that's the guy that I aspire to become. And from then, then it became a business. And that's when we went on a bit of a tear and opened 20, 25 places across Egypt in an 8-year period. So we had a wonderful time. I think it wasn't easy. Building a business in a country like that has its challenges. It's white, it's open. You can pretty much do what you want, and you don't have massive competition. It's a great place to sort of cut your teeth and learn an industry that was new to me. I'm not a bar guy. I'm not a nightclub guy. I am now, but I wasn't back then. I was learning all of that kind of stuff. So great place to learn the business. And that's what we did. And we got on and did some incredible, some amazing stuff.
The most amazing story I took from that was you got the big contract to open the Ministry of Sound open air, didn't you? And you got all your team in, all your planners. You put 3 months, 3 hard months of like planning, organisation, everything. And a week before the big shots from Ministry of Sound were coming out for the grand opening, it burnt down. Most people would have just collapsed in the sand crying. Yeah. You decided, right, boys, and this is what, about an hour after the fire had like sort of devastated everything, you called your team together and said, right, boys, we've got 7 days. That's 7 times 24 hours. We're going to rebuild and reopen this club on time.
Yeah, I still don't know how we did that. I really don't. I think, that was probably one of my coolest things I think I've ever done. The fear. And Ministry of Sound did turn up on the opening, and then we did tell them what had happened, and they were like, "You idiot! We'd have never had a problem with you." But I was so proud that Ministry had picked me. Ministry was the global brand that could pretty much pick whoever they wanted. There was little old me that had got very little history. I didn't have a lot of money. I jumped on an aeroplane. They sent me I I approached them and they sent me a document like this of all the different things you have to do. And I read page 1. I was like, yeah, that's not for me. So I rang them and said, what are you doing Friday? I said, what do you mean? I said, well, I'll fly in, I'll talk to you. Come on, I don't want to read this. Let me come and talk to you. So I remember sitting in James Palumbo's house, and he had this beautiful house in Kensington. You know, that man, he was head boy at Eton. Super smart, super intelligent, probably as far as from nightclub owner you'd ever expect. And they wanted, I think if I remember, they wanted like 250,000 sterling. And I had like 20. So I had to go and make friends and make a relationship with that man. And I sat in his house, and he's got his little dog running around the house. And he said, well, you know, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to build you the best ministry on the planet. And he said, well, how are you going to do that? You haven't got any money. I said, well, you know, is the best ministry on the planet about money, or is it about the people that stand in it and the smiles on the faces and the hands in the air? And what is the best ministry? And he stopped and he looked at me and he said, no one's ever said it like that. So what is the best ministry? He said, that's the best ministry. I said, well, I promise you I'll make you one of those. And he just put his hand out and shook my hand. So I was like, wow, I can't believe I managed to convince this man that I'm a good guy. And that was a great moment for me. And I didn't want to let him down. I didn't want to let anybody down. So when that fire happened and I'm sort of stood there like, wow, it was not a case of, you know, this is terrible, this is awful, this is, oh my word. It was just, I can't let everyone down. I promised so many people we're going to do this. And I promised myself I was going to do it. So we're going to do it. And if it takes me 9 days, if it takes me 11 days, it doesn't really matter. But we had to have a number. We had to have a number, and the number was 7 days. So off we went, and we did. We bloody did it.
You did. And as the guests were walking in through the front door, the seamstresses with their sewing machines were swimming in the sea away from the club. It's amazing.
There was no way they could get out. They had to go out from the sea.
Yeah, but that went off at 1,000 miles an hour, and then you got into a marina management. You actually managed to pick up an entire marina to manage.
Yeah, that was super cool. Yeah.
And how many outlets did you have there in there?
That was so the whole development was 8,000 square meters. So I think by the time we chopped it up and put it into sort of food, retail, shopping, you know, all the different elements that you need for a complex like that, I think it was like 120 different retail spaces, of which about 40 were food and beverage. And we did about 8, or I think we did 8, partnered and a couple more.
Wow.
And we did that in 3 months. Yeah.
And it went from success, but what possibly could go wrong? You were set for life. Nothing could go wrong, could it?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah, it did indeed. And over such a silly nothing as well.
Anybody who doesn't know the story thinks that possibly I'm bad luck.
You've got to read the book to know what we're talking about. You've got to read the book. You won't believe it. So there's Paul. He's just smashed this entire beautiful marina. His club's going really well. Everything is just going so well for him. And like after what he's gone through his life, what could possibly go wrong? But yet a stupid, and again in that part of the world, of course, there's little like ease of payments, you have to say little backhanders to make sure things happen. And like one of your managers had to go to Cairo to collect a certificate, didn't he? And he said, boss, give me, was it 3,000 Egyptian pounds, which is next to nothing.
Which at the time was about £4.50.
Yeah, and I need to sort of give this money to somebody. So off he disappeared to get the certificate. You didn't hear from him, did you? So you got a bit worried, started looking for him. The next thing, you hear he's been arrested, and they want to bring you as a witness because the guy at the government who's giving the certificate was accused of taking major bribes or major corruption. Yeah, but they wanted you as a witness, but it wasn't, oh, Paul, come to Cairo and be a witness, was it?
No, come to Cairo and spend 4 days in a jail and then admit that you did it, admit it was your company that paid the money, turn state witness for us to tell us that in a court and we'll prosecute the guy who did it. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm not paying for 4 days in a jail. He's like, well, you are. So I'm not. So this banter went on between us and being a bit overzealous and sort of thinking I was probably more connected than I actually was in that country. I mean, we had the telephone numbers of Ministry of Tourism, son of the president. You know, I knew some very, very, very powerful businessmen in that city. We were very well liked. We were very well connected. And I thought, you know, my contacts will get me out of this, but it didn't. And I spent 3 months hiding in different apartments around Egypt and Cairo and trying to prevent these guys from finding me and grabbing hold of me. this guy was like a man possessed. And eventually somebody I thought was a friend of mine wasn't a friend. He set me up. I walked into a meeting that was supposedly going to be with a judge that would let me hand my passport in and go back home, as long as I gave the statement that I said I would give, and what actually happened. And as I walked into the room, a load of armed police came in, put me in handcuffs and threw me on the back of a van and took me to Cairo. Threw me in the Cairo jail cell for a while.
This is where the book turned very Midnight Express. It really was some tough times. You know, it's bad enough. I know you've been in prison in England for a very short period of time, but nothing compared to Egypt, was it? And like what they put you through there, it just didn't make sense. It just did not make sense. And how the vindictiveness of this guy made things delayed to keep you in prison even longer as a witness. Crazy.
Yeah, well, he wanted the case to go away because it was his brother that was the guy who was taking the money. So, we understood later. I mean, it was all over and quick. The number was about 10 million Egyptian pounds that this guy had taken, and they only need one. You know, that if you steal £1 from the Egyptian government, or you steal £1 million from the Egyptian government, it's 10 years. That's it, full stop, period. So they didn't need the big case. They just needed one case, and unfortunately, it was our case that they wanted. Unfortunately, I had to go inside. Otherwise, the case couldn't run, and I wouldn't go inside. You know, I was ill. I was diabetic. It was only a couple of years after I'd recovered. 3 or 4 years after I'd recovered. So I was still a fragile little. You know, I was scared. How brave do you have to be to say, all right, fine, I'll come and I'll sit in a Cairo jail for 4 days? I wasn't brave enough. So I don't think anybody would. No. I'm going to go on the run, and I went on the run, and then when eventually they caught me, I mean, I'm not going to talk about that on this podcast. I went through some.
You did.
I went through some stuff that will change the man forever.
Yeah. But and then you got out of that, and then it was
I remember somebody asking me recently, you know, talk us through all the different things that you've had to overcome in your life, and you know, you bounce through them. And then he sort of looked at me and he's like, maybe it's got something to do with you. So yeah, we went through the Arab Spring. That was probably one of the most scariest things I think I've ever been through. That was
barricaded in your own house, weren't you, with your own mates, ready to fight to protect your belongings, protect your world. You got your family out, but you were still left standing in Egypt, weren't you?
Yeah, probably balls bigger than they should have been back then. Looking back, it was a silly thing to do. You know, I'd worked so hard to build that business. I'd worked so hard to, you know, so many things I'd come back from, so much. That country had taken so much from me, and I'd given that country so much, and I was just, you're not going to take this from me. You know, the government opened the prison doors because they wanted the prisoners to go on the streets, and the public said, "Oh, help us," and then the government could stay in power. That was their play. So, you know, we had thousands of prisoners being released from prison and then running to our town to take what they could take, and I'd kind of given up on the business. There was nothing I could do about people taking the outlets from me and landlords just being evil. But I was going to protect my home, and I was going to protect the people who work for me. So I pulled us all together for the sort of crazy 4 or 5 days when it was pretty lawless. And we just sat and prayed and hoped that we'd be okay. And we had a boat fueled off the shore in case it got overrun, and we'd jump on a boat and sail into the middle of the ocean until things calmed down. But that was a very, very frightening time. You know, I had a young son. He was 4 by then, 4 or 5. It was not. That was not a nice part of my life.
But then we're just about to get to the Dubai side of the story now, aren't we? Because then the writing was on the wall with Egypt. The Arab Spring was in full force. The tourists weren't coming in the numbers anywhere near the numbers you needed to sustain the business. So you started planning to leave.
Yeah, we'd lost it by then. You know, I think we had 23 places going into the Arab Spring. By the time the Egyptian revolution was kind of over, you know, obviously there was two revolutions. So whether you can remember or not, it was Mubarak to Morsi to Sisi.
That's right. Yeah.
We went through both those. But I was done, you know, that, to be honest, the being on the run in Cairo and what happened to me in that Cairo jail, I was never going to get over that. You know, I felt I'd given that. Yeah, I'd given that country my life. I'd given, I employed over 1,000 people at one point. I'd built probably the number one tourist attraction that city would ever see, still operational today. Hurghada Marina Boulevard was mine. They took it off me in the revolution, just fired me, just said, look, we don't need you anymore. And that kind of stuff, you can't go over that. And, as much as I pretend to have an ability just to keep going, I was done. Yep. So I knew, but I wasn't allowed to fly. So as you probably read in the book, post getting out of Cairo and being released, they still kept my passport for a while until they decided what they were going to do with this guy. If I could have gone that day, if I could have come out of that Cairo jail, got an airplane float, I'd have never gone back. I'd have left everything, but I couldn't. So I had to kind of stay, which then meant I had to stay to the revolution. And then I wanted to try and protect something that I could sell to start again. Yeah. But quite quickly after that, it was sort of probably March, April time, 2011. And I was driving to one of my venues in the morning. It was early morning in El Gouna. And on that journey, I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. I can't, I've got the energy to keep going. I wasn't old, I'm 35, 36, but I don't have the energy to go here. So where do I want to go? I want to go to Dubai. Yeah. And I'd always gone on holiday to Dubai. I always just was so much admiration for what those people have done for that country. It's 50 years old. Wow. And I wanted to go and see if we were as good as I thought we were. There was no competition in Egypt. We were the leaders by massive amount. There was no, number two wasn't even talked about. There was us, and that was it. Yeah. Where Dubai, there's some pretty good food and beverage operators, and I believe that our style and the way that we do it is slightly different. I felt the marketplace in Dubai would be very receptive to our style. The lock stocks, the Q43s back in the day, where the customer was the priority, not necessarily the balance sheet or the P&L. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to go and see if we were as good as we thought we were, and touch wood.
Here we are.
We were. We were.
So what was your start in Dubai? So you arrived in Dubai after everything has been behind you. How did you get started again?
I landed in Dubai in late 2011. I promised myself a few months of just, get over what happened to me in Egypt. That was not as much as I, proclaimed that I had a shower and I got over it and I just started again. There's still those underlying sadness to having lost your entire company that you spent 12 years and it, that company nearly killed me twice. Yeah. No doubt about it. So I wanted to take a few months off, which I did, but I didn't have any money.
Was there anything specific that you did in those few months to kind of reset your mind? Did you take up meditation?
Where did you end up when you first arrived in Dubai? Where did you end up living? And was it by pure chance, or did you do research?
No, I moved to Green Community. So I had enough money to put my little 4-year-old through school for 1 year, and to rent a house for 6 months. So I knew 2 people in the city. One was a gentleman called Mark Lee, who I'd met when he was at WAFI, when I was looking to help Ministry of Sound do something back in 2009. I had his number and I had somebody else's telephone number. I rang them both and I went and had a coffee. And my plan was just to slowly sort of get an understanding of the Dubai market. I'd been on holiday there multiple times, so I had a good idea of what F&B was like in Dubai. I felt it was very glitz and glam and very low end, and there was nothing sort of sitting in that middle sector. So I wanted to come into that middle sector. So I met Mark Lee. He showed me the rooftop or the top floor of Media One Hotel. And then that was the end of me having a bit of a rest. I fell in love with that space straight away. I thought I could do something very special. And off I went trying to find investors. And while I was trying to do that, I was buying and selling motor cars on Dubizzle, earning enough money to keep the kids in, or keep my kid in school and pay the rent.
Wow.
And I did that. It took me about 18 months to 2 years to find an investment consortium of 12 million dirhams to build Q43. So we built it, opened it late 2013 with an annual budget of 18 million, and year one it did 34.
Wow.
Here's a claim to fame. My very first brunch in Dubai was at Q43, early 2015. Yeah, and what a great time.
My first night out in Dubai, Q43, I stayed in the hotel when I first arrived here. Great venue.
Okay, she's a little bit old today. She's 6 years. She's a little bit tired. That venue,
Memories.
that, you know, because there was nothing like Q when we opened it. You know, Lock, Stock had not come out. You know, we'd not beaten it. We'd not done something bigger or better or faster or quicker. You know, when we brought Q to the market, it was the only kind of high energy venue that, you know, had all walks of life were in it. It gave you a great time from sort of 3 o'clock onwards in the afternoon, and you just didn't go home. You know, one of our models is we'll grab you for one beer.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to phone your missus and tell her you're going to be late. You know, and
Good one.
Q's done that. We've done that from our very, very beginning. We'll get you to come and have a drink with us. We'll entertain you front to back to left to right, and we'll get you in trouble with the partner because it's just too good to leave. And Q did that and still does to a certain degree, but not like
Lock, Stock does it for me. I've had some heavy nights that weren't supposed to be heavy nights in Lock, Stock, I tell you. Let's go for a quick one after work. Yeah, okay. And then
Lock, Stock will get you in trouble.
Serious trouble. Yeah. Good food as well. Good bar snacks there.
Yeah, great venue. So that was my first venue, and you know, I did a management deal on a venue in Bur, Dubai, just to sort of keep the clock ticking while I was trying to get Q off the ground. Mm-hmm. But that didn't really make any money. It didn't really do anything for us. So it was Q was the start. So then Q into Karma Cafe, we bought that during the process of building Asia Aisa. Asia Aisa into Lock, Stock in Grand Millennium, and that for me is the best venue in the world. You know, I've visited so many places on this planet. I've looked at so many different bars and restaurants. You know, JBR does way more money.
Yeah.
Not as good a venue. If you look at the synergies between the stage and the dance floor and the mezzanine and the interaction, and the height and the scale and the coziness, it's just you know, me and Freck sat in there for 9 months designing and building that venue every single day, 7 o'clock till midnight.
Honestly, Paul, stop there. You're making me sort of like well up with tears here because I'm missing you much. You know, what I would give to go for a beer in that place right now. God, I'd be there. And like it's lockdown, we're not. So again, are we too early, Liam, to jump into it? But how are you finding things with this lockdown at the moment? I mean, you've got numerous venues across the city, and therefore I should imagine quite a big workforce dependent on you. And again, you've had these life experiences that I can't even imagine, and I got it from the early part of the conversation. This COVID-19 doesn't faze you.
No.
What will be.
No. It phases me. Don't get me wrong. It is a Rubik's Cube challenge that we've all got to come to. It probably doesn't hit me as hard as somebody else because you know, I've got a bit of history of coming through adversity, where, you know, I'm not lying on the floor crying, oh my God, I've lost my company, what am I going to do? But I am still busy with what does it mean? You know, what is post-COVID? I believe the world needed a slap. You know, we all, you know, this is, if you ask me honestly, what is this? This is the world's wake-up call. Do we grab hold of it as society, as humans, like we should? Probably not, but I hope with everything I am that we do. I really do. We have been battering Mother Earth. We've been battering instant gratification. We are chasing stuff that is not beneficial to us. And I know because I was that guy. I was the person that chased stuff that meant nothing to me, that was just possessional money. We needed a wake-up call. The society needed to understand that we were getting it wrong. The world needed to understand that if we don't change, we're on a very, very dark road. So what I'm not looking at what is the food and beverage industry post-COVID. You know, are you going to go to Lock, Stock and have a bite to eat between a plastic screen? No, I'm not in that industry. That's not what we do. And if that's the conditions that we have to trade in, we're not trading. We'll do something different for a while. Yeah. Our DNA, Solutions Leisure, full stop, whichever one it may ever be, it's about you two connecting. It's about you two having the ability to freely have a beer and then lose some inhibition and have a great night and interact and talk and mingle and move. And social distancing doesn't fit with that. So if social distancing doesn't fit with it, okay, an Asia Aisa, slightly different. Yeah. STK on a Friday, you know, how am I going to do an STK brunch where I can't put you on the table and you can't have a dance and you can't go and talk to that girl at the bar because she's not part? Doesn't work. So then don't do it. I'm not pivoting into the delivery industry. That's not who I am. We're about that. So I'm trying to figure out that Rubik's Cube of where, not what does food and beverage look like in a post social distancing world where you've got to social distance. That's not what I'm busy with. I'm looking at, that will go away at some point. It has to go away.
It has to. Yeah, you're right.
You just can't. We are the most social breed of species that lives. So we have to integrate. We will resist. We'll start to push back and say, look, that doesn't work. We've got to interact with people. I read a report today that it's okay to sell your house in the UK at the moment, but it's not okay to see two people in the park that are your close family. I mean, there's stuff that's just not right.
Yeah, there's a lot of grey areas, isn't there? It's not clear at all.
Well, it's just the thought process. It's not right to have a fine dining restaurant with a piece of plastic and your dinner gets pushed underneath it.
It's just,
that's not right. Yeah. I've lived in a place like that, and you don't want to be there.
No, not indeed. Yeah.
But no, I'm not sitting here thinking, okay, well, I've been through tons of adversity, dead easy, I'll get through this. No, not at all. This is going to be a challenge for all of us for the foreseeable future. Does it mean a massive change in food and beverage? No. Does it mean nightclubs are going to stay shut for a bit longer? Yes. Does it mean Lock Stock will not be a traditional Thursday night for a little while? Yes. But can it still operate and be fun? Yes.
Yeah.
But not at 30%, not without alcohol, and not until we've just given it a little bit more time just to see what elevation. I don't want to be somebody that's responsible for elevating the COVID numbers in the city. And I'm not so desperate to get open and run that risk.
True. Very true.
We've got to come together and not be selfishly, I can open and I can make money. What does that do? What's the implication of doing that? And that's what I'm thinking. So yes, cash flow will stop. Yes, we're all in pain. Yes, my lifestyle is very different than it was 6 months ago, but that's okay. I've never been somebody that needs to drive Lamborghinis and live the Burj Khalifa. I'm all with it. And that's not why I ever did it.
Yeah.
So the fact that the income has stopped only worries me and only concerns me because I'm not able to look after the people as well as I could 3 months ago. But what concerns me way more is that, we've got to be safe. We've got to consider society,
indeed,
not just, can I make more money? I've never done it for money. I've never ever done it for money. So if we can't put you together on a dance floor in a safe environment, so you can have a few beers and you can have a great night and you can meet your girlfriend, you can do all the stuff that's happened in our venues over 10 years, then let's just wait. There's no rush. I don't need to be a pioneer to be the first person to open.
You said it yourself. I mean, I hope and Dubai's good in a lot of ways, isn't it? The way it looks after its citizens, and it has led the fight against COVID very well, I think. But it is a very tactile place, isn't it? We all love to get out and party and mingle and have that social interaction. So we've got to be careful. I mean, a certain establishment got it wrong, shall we say? So again, that was a good. That was a good thing. So we've got to be careful. And as you go back to it, I hope that the world does take a step back and remember. And like Liam and I discussed with the postponement of Expo 2020 to now Expo 21, hopefully the government can redesign it to reflect on how the world's got to become a better place to survive.
I think if there's any country on the planet that will be busy with that, it will be Dubai. I think one of the reasons why Dubai has done as well as it's done, because it does have its eye on a multitude of important factors. It's not just about cash. It's not just about money. It's not just about profit. Of course, it's important, but it's important because of what else it allows you to do. And I think that's one of the things that we as a company today, we've always been busy with it. We're not owned by a group of shareholders where I have to report increased growth every year. And if I would not operate in that world. There's way more to being successful than just what your P&L looks like. The ability to change and adapt and help other people because of that is a byproduct of your success. I think Dubai holds that key as well. Look at the country that we live in. Look at how they dealt with COVID. I mean, they were out of the traps with the latest technology. And I genuinely believe they wanted to keep safe. compare that to other countries around the world that have got certain famous leaders that stutter to every press conference you'll ever see him do. You know, because that there are people out there that don't care about any of us. They care about winning the next election. They care about growth of their own private shares or little stock holes they've got in different companies. And you know, that frightens me massively. You know, and the reason why I'm blessed to live in a country like Dubai is because that's not at the forefront of their mind. It's important to them, but we're more important to them. You know, they didn't get out on the street sanitizing and protecting us all because it's profitable for them. They got on the streets and sanitized us all because they wanted to love us, they wanted to look after us, they wanted to take care of us.
Yeah,
thankful of that every day of the week.
Yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. Just wanted to ask this. Obviously, we've got this situation. It is going to take some time before we get back to normality. But you running this business, Solutions Leisure, where do you see the operation going? Are you looking to expand the business and take these brands internationally? Are you looking to have more, exposure here in Dubai? Where is the future for Solutions Leisure? After all this situation has calmed down.
We've always we had a number of things that were bubbling along prior to COVID. Those things have carried on bubbling along. I think that we've got great brand in lock, stock and barrel. That thing would land in any city on the planet, and I think it would do very well. And I'm still in COVID lockdown. I'm still talking to our possible partners on that, and things just got delayed a little bit. Things are on, the world is on pause. Nobody wants to really commit today. I also don't want to really commit. I'm not interested in taking an investor's money in Singapore and building a lock, stock and him not succeeding. I'm just not built that way. So I'm also okay to sit and relax. We're going to grow in the UAE. That's our home, that's our base, that's our core. The UAE gave us what we have today, and it's our job to give back. So we will be announcing very soon 3 new venues.
Wow. There's a scoop for us. There's a bit of a scoop for us, Liam.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, I've not told anybody yet, and I won't tell you where they are, but one will be a lock, stock, one will be an Asia Aisa, and one will be a definitive or a derivative of a Wavehouse. So we're doing
fantastic.
A bit more family entertainment oriented. So they won't open to late this year, possibly into first quarter next year. We'll wait to see what the tourism starts to pan out. But, Dubai will continue to grow. So why not use this time to develop? If you're lucky enough and fortunate enough to have people that support you, then use the time to develop and make sure that once we can reopen, we probably won't have as much income into each outlet. So then possibly spread the business so that you're still able to continue to offer your staff and your teams the same levels that you were prior to this. I think is my thought.
Good.
Fantastic. And look, I just want to say thank you for your time. It's been a long one. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm sure all the listeners and the people watching will feel the same. It's been amazing to hear you explain your story. We've really enjoyed it. At the end of the day, I get flattered every minute of the day by people being interested in what we're trying to do or what I've done over my career. And I am extremely blessed, and thanks for the interest. No problem.
Fantastic.
No problem. Look, before we let you go, very quickly, we always have a few questions that we ask at the end of every show. This is the DubaiLife Podcast, so we're going to put you on the spot a little bit. What is your perfect day in Dubai? So, what do you enjoy to do? Yeah, starting from when you get up, what do you like to do?
Okay, so there's got to be a beach walk in there. It's nice. One of the things.
Do you live near the beach?
Yeah, I live on the end of JBR near Royal Meridian. So
fantastic.
One of the things when I went through sort of a bit of a mental health issue 4 or 5 years ago, when I was starting to have a few things that weren't connecting, somebody walked me through blessings and being thankful.
Yeah.
So no matter who we are, doesn't matter what. Yeah, exactly. It's become a huge part of my life, and you'll probably see it as I share it regularly. Things I'm thankful for. So every single day of the week, doesn't matter what day of the year it is, doesn't matter how hot, how cold, before I go to sleep, I'll walk out to JBR Beach, I'll touch the rock by Zero, and I'll touch the rock by the Wheel. On both of those rocks, 3 things I'm thankful for. I do that every day.
I love that.
So now I'm doing it in a wood or a road or whatever it may be, but it's just that little moment of, I don't take my mobiles with me. I go and have an hour of reflection. It takes me about an hour to walk that 6 clicks. So that every day, it starts with that normally. Then a little bit of gym. I'm not as fit or not as young as I used to be, so I have to work a little bit harder these days. Then perfect day, and sounds really sad, but then I'm going to work.
Come on. And again, in your industry, what are the places you'd love to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Where would you entertain? Where do you want to entertain yourself?
I'm not fancy. I'm expectation on JBR for my breakfast.
We've had that a few times.
Yeah, that was yesterday's guest as well.
Probably a bit of Tom and Serge. I know those guys really well. Tom's a good buddy of mine. I'm gonna pop in and have a bit of breakfast lunch at his place. And then I'm dead easy going. You know, I used to love Districts. I'm super sad that we couldn't get that venue to work. Lock stock for a couple of drinks after work. If I'm fancying, I'm taking Dominique out for a bite to eat. Then I think, you know, I love Zuma, I love Koya, I love Liberty Maison. Obviously, I'm not a drinker, so you know you won't find me in whites, and you won't find me on VIP tables with bottled vodkas around me. I'm not that guy. Cinema, massive fan of a platinum suite cinema.
Yeah,
I know that sounds a bit pretentious, but you know.
Nice. Sounds a good day to me. Sounds a good day to me, mate.
That's 150 dirhams you can spend. I love movies. I'm a big fan of that. And because I'm not a drinker, because I'm not a party person, you know, you rarely find me at a brunch. You know, I love a group of our friends on a boat. I love a group of our friends in a brunch in one of our venues. And you know, for me, it's not necessarily about the prestigious or the venue that I'm in. It's about the people I'm around. So if I've got 10, 12 of our closest people, stick me on a picnic on JBR and I'm having the time of my life. I'm a very much into that, sitting around with a group of people that you love and you've got history with and they know you. And that's my perfect day with my friends and my family doing normal stuff.
Good stuff. Awesome. Fantastic. And the last question, I promise we'll finish after this. We are from a real estate background here in the city, and Dubai, of course, is famous for some incredible projects and homes that they've built. Where is your dream home? You might already have it. I'm not sure. Where would you, if money was no object, where would you choose to live in Dubai? Right on the spot there.
I'd probably go on the Palm.
Yeah.
I have a huge connection to the ocean, so I'm a massively avid scuba diver. I've got to have sand on my toes. I'm in Fleetwood at the moment. I come up to see my girl's parents, and they've got a beach here. Not the best of beaches.
Fleetwood,
I've seen Fleetwood Beach. A little bit different to the Palm Jumeirah.
I'll tell you something. I walked out on there yesterday. It was blowing a gale. It was freezing. It was, it's Fleetwood. But it just gave me something, just this energy, this power. I walked for about 2.5 hours. I think I did like 12 kilometers or something yesterday. Just walked it. So I have a real connection to the beach. So, you know, if money was no object, I'd probably go to the Palm.
Nice.
I've got a lovely little apartment. I've got a little 2-bed apartment on JBR. It's, you know, it does its job. I'm close to the beach. I can walk out there every day and be on that beach. So somewhere, again, I'm not, you know, I don't have any aspirations to have a 12-bed, $500 million penthouse apartment on JBR. But I'd be Palm or JBR. I like the social environment, the beachy areas. I like the hustle and bustle of the busier parts. If there's a couple of nice villas on JBR, if you found something, give me a shout.
We'll let you know.
Yeah, it's got to be. I've got to be near the sea. I've got to have a connection to the ocean.
Yeah, great answer. So where can people find you? I'm going to add all of your tags and handles. I'll put them in the show notes. But you're obviously quite busy and popular on Instagram. Really like the stuff that you're putting out on Instagram. So tell the people where they can find you.
Paul John Ebbs at Instagram.
Okay.
I don't really use Facebook. I think my Instagram is connected to my Facebook, and the team that look after that for me do all of that kind of stuff. My website is wheniwokeup.com.
Okay.
That's my own. That's me, and I look after that personally myself. So I don't have anybody take care of that. I like to interact with people that have read it, and I want to be genuine that anyone can reach me. I've always said, you know, I will always find time for a coffee with anybody. And the beauty of a coffee, it's a fabulous thing, and you might want to employ this, especially in your industry.
Yeah.
You meet somebody with a coffee, and you can have that thing done and dusted in 7 minutes, and you can be out the door. If that person proves some interest, you have a second coffee, and who that relationship's going to take you. I always find time for a coffee with someone. So I operate and I look after the When I Woke Up website myself. And then obviously solutionsleisure.com. That's our company address.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Wow.
Great stuff.
What a great podcast. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Amazing. No problem. Asia.
Look, I've got a question for you now. Come on then.
Go on. Let's do it. Let's flip it around.
Where would you both live in Dubai if you had any choice, money or object?
Great question. Richard, I'll let you go first on that one. I'll give...
thanks, Liam. I'm with Paul to a certain degree. I live very happy. For the last 4 or 5 years, I've lived in a little villa in Al Manara near Kite Beach. It's only small. It's got a real peaceful garden. I have some great barbecues. It's a bit old-fashioned inside, but I'm just at peace. I'm at peace here. So I'm happy here, but if money was no object, I'd probably go up to Al Barari. I just love it up there. It's just the green wilderness, the peace, everything. It's just the escape. Work your socks off in Dubai, get in your car for a total escape, bang, back to nature.
I had that with community. That was not as expensive as Al Barari, but I got a bit, Al Barari's stunning, but it's not near the sea.
No, it's quite the opposite,
Yeah.
Go on, Liam, what about you?
For me, I think you probably know, Richard. I'm still. I don't have a family. It's just me and my fiance here. So we are living in the marina at the moment. We're in Marina Gate, and we love it. We love the city vibe and the hustle and bustle. But
Marina Gate's lovely.
Marina Gate's beautiful. Great facilities. That's why I really like it. The sauna and the steam room. The gym's amazing.
My business lived there for 2 years.
It is fantastic. But I would have to say the new projects that they're building on the Palm, the One Palm, which is going to be managed by the Dorchester, is going to be alongside the Royal Atlantis, which they're building, which you may have seen coming up next to the Atlantis. Just an incredible project. Between those two, I think a penthouse in there would just be another level.
That Royal Atlantis is going to be special. We've got Wavehouse in Atlantis, and we're looking at that'll probably be the first venue that we open post-COVID.
Oh wow!
Just putting some plans together now about how we can social distance between bowling and kids games. So, but that Royal Atlantis. Wow.
The architecture on that is just out of this world, isn't it? Literally out of this world.
Yeah, and I've been fortunate enough to have an insight into some of the fixtures and the fittings and how they're going to finish that thing.
Yeah. I've seen the WET, the company behind the Bellagio water fountains in Las Vegas and the Burj Khalifa fountains. They've got a project at the Royal Atlantis where they're going to have fire and water coming up out of the fountains at the same time. It is going to be talked about in the same, with Burj Khalifa, Burj Al Arab and the Royal Atlantis, I think. And the views are going to be phenomenal. I mean, even at the Atlantis, if you're on the 5th, 6th, 7th floor of that hotel and you're looking back towards the marina, you can see the fronds below you. The Royal Atlantis is double the height of the Atlantis. Just imagine from the top floor, it's just going to be mind-blowing.
90 swimming pools they've got.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I change my selection, please? Can I go live there?
No. You've made your choice.
All right, gentlemen.
All right.
No, Paul, thank you, Paul. That's fantastic.
Absolute
wonderful day.
Absolute pleasure. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.